Welcome to back to the Tastemakers. My name is Grace Leeder, here to talk about all the television, all the movies, all of the things. Taste them, tell you if you like them or not. I normally don't host this podcast. You might tell as I'm stumbling over my words. Typically, that's one Taran Armstrong. Taran is still away. Taran is doing other things. He is reading his book aloud so that you can hear his book in the future. Make sure you pre-order Taran's book. So I brought in a guest. He was here last week. He's here again because this week is a big movie spectacular. We'll talk about what we're watching and what's coming and any of the news, but then we're going to do a full spoiler recap, just like the old days. It's Ariel. Ariel, how you doing?
Hey there, I'm good. I'm so excited to be talking about this movie and
It's just one battle
everything
after
else.
another.
It's just one damn tastemakers after another.
Kinda.
For me, between last week and this
Yeah,
week
that's
for
right.
sure.
That's right. Well, yeah. So, Eric, we chatted about the movie last week. I think we both said we really like it. Is that right? Do you
Yeah.
say you liked it? I like that. I love it. I think it's an amazing movie. So we're gonna talk about it in all sorts of spoilery detail, but we'll do all of the usual tastemaker stuff up front. So I'm gonna talk about some news. We'll talk about what we're currently watching and what's up next, and then on the back half, fully spoiling one battle after another. New Paul Thomas Anderson, new Leo movie out in theaters. So get ready.
Exciting.
Okay, news. Ariel, are you a Dexter person? Like, do you murder other
No.
serial killers?
Would you call yourself a Dexter? I shout out to my friend's dog named Dexter. I am in that way. I am a Dexter. I used to watch Dexter, back in its prime. I kind of fell off early, but it's been resurrected several times. Dexter Resurrections. There was like the prequel that was made, that was then picked up, like for a second season, that was then unrenewed because Skydance took over Paramount. There's been a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, but some renewal news, I believe.
Some renewal news, renewed for season 2, which I think we all kind of knew was happening, even when Original Sin got like renewed and then canceled. I think my thought was like, oh, I guess they just don't want to do 2 Dexter shows because they're definitely going to keep doing Dexter Resurrection. So it has been renewed for season 2. I thought season 1 was very fun. I think the show is great. I still have a little bit of trouble being like, because people will be like, I stopped watching and what do I need to watch to do it? I think you could just jump into Dexter Resurrection, although there is some Dexter New Blood lore, but I think you'll be fine, honestly, if you just start with Resurrection. So I encourage people to check. Basically, my thing is like, if I'm like, you should watch New Blood probably and then watch Resurrection. But if you're like, I'm not going to do
that's
that,
too many things.
then I would say you don't have to watch New Blood and you can just watch Resurrection. That's my like real advice. You could definitely do it and you won't feel out of the loop basically at all. I just think New Blood is good. That's what I think. So
I've heard. I have actually the same friend. I'm sure it's not a coincidence. Dexter the dog is a big Dexter fan.
Dog murders other serial killer dogs.
Other dogs, right? Exactly. They keep it clean. Dogs only, no humans.
They have a code. They abide by the code.
Just like the real adult Dexter human have a code. Really like, and I just heard across the board, it seemed like people really liked New Blood, and it was like, wow, it's so great that they can make after. I think Dexter fans probably. Paramount and Skydance now are grateful that Game of Thrones took over the mantle of like worst finale, because for a while it was Dexter, or at least Dexter Prime's series finale.
100%.
And now that it has this new life, it's just, from the outside, I just love it for the fans, honestly. I'm like, good for you. You got a good product with the main actor who came back and did it, Michael C. Hall, and like, good for you. Just keep making stories, I guess. It's like Downton Abbey. Let's just keep making movies or new series, whatever.
You know what? I feel like part of it is that like Michael C. Hall like didn't really like latch on to anything else. It's so hard to be like in an iconic role. This is the same problem I think a lot of the Game of Thrones people are having. So in that world, perhaps in like 10-ish, less than 10 years, they'll just come back and redo the Game of Thrones.
They're like, we're going to do all the bad ones. So they'll only redo like
just do like 7
the
and
longest
8.
night or whatever it's called. Then the finale, please do the
finale. The thing about New Blood, though, I will say, like in terms of I really like more like serious Dexter, and I feel like New Blood is pretty like we're being pretty serious Dexter, and
Okay.
people didn't really like that. And what people like about Dexter Resurrection, and it took me like a little bit to get calibrated to this, is that the new Dexter is like very camp and like very like
Ooh.
it's just a little bit over the top and it's less serious. And
Okay.
I do think that that's like fine, and it can be, and I actually think it's fun once you're like at that, you've turned the dial to that. So like that's what people like. New Blood is a little more like serious-y type, whereas the new thing, which I think is why people are vibing with it more than New Blood, is because it's like it's kind of silly. Which, like, to be fair, a show about a serial killer who kills other serial killers, fine to maybe more in the camp side.
Yeah. No, I mean that sounds fun, and I think we people get enough serious these days, so maybe we're welcoming some of the camp and some of the funny, and I'm glad. It sounds like, certainly from the outside, from people's reactions, that it's not too far in that direction. So why not?
The Buccaneers is an Apple TV show, Ariel, that got renewed for season 3. This is a show I've never watched, but this seemed like it was like Apple's Bridgerton kind of.
Okay. I'm
renewed.
kind of seeing like the poster art for it. I can kind of envision it in my head.
I don't know.
I'm shocked that they put a "the" in front of it, that it's not just Buccaneers.
Should be Succaneers.
Fixed it. It's done.
I've never watched it, so I can't tell whether it actually sucks or not. I don't think it does. I mean, it's been renewed. So I just wanted to comment out. The other big news are Ocean's 14. Apparently, Clooney teased that they're going to do Ocean's 14. It's basically all but confirmed that Ocean's.
I didn't know this
coming back.
I didn't know this was happening.
He told E! News, "We got the budget approved at Warner Brothers, and we're trying to set it up. We're at it. We're looking to start shooting in 9 or 10 months. Everyone will be returning, specifically Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Don Cheadle, and Julia Roberts." And he had dinner with Julia Roberts to make sure,
just like in the movie.
That's right. So
wow. Sure. Is my reaction. Yeah. It could be good. Lots of great actors, obviously. Not necessarily the Michael C. Hall point that you made. These people aren't similarly struggling to find work, but I'm sure they enjoy, if nothing else, they love working together. Seems like a fun group of people, and if they got the budget, why not? At least it's not like a reboot or like a recast.
Well, they did. Well,
shout out to Ocean's 8, and it's so clear that they wanted to make Oceans 8, 9, and 10 to then lead into 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
And that movie just didn't do well, unfortunately. So yeah, I wonder if they'll have some of the people, maybe they'll do like a, what do we call it? Like a crossover. They bring back some people from Ocean's 8. I don't know. Probably not though.
I guess did Soderbergh do he did all of them, right? He did 11, 12, 13.
Yeah, he did the original three.
The original 3. I didn't see anything about whether he's coming back. Feels like he would. He's not really.
But we gotta factor that into the budget for sure.
He did one of my favorite movies of the year. He did Black Bag. I love Black Bag. He should. I would like. And Presents. Presents. You love Presents. The movie.
I do love Presents. People go see Presents, or you can't see it anymore in theaters. People seek out Presents.
He has a movie coming out this fall called The Christophers, which has Ian McKellen, Michaela Cole, and James Corden and Jessica Gunning. So he's doing stuff. He could do it. He could do Ocean's 14.
Sure.
We'll see. And then there was a trailer for Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it confirmed that the show is coming back in January, which will be interesting because isn't The Pit coming back in January?
I am,
but the Pit is not
yes.
But The Pit is not a Sunday night show. I forgot The Pit is not a Sunday night show.
No, they're trying to claim the Thursday.
That makes sense. That'd be interesting to have both Night of the Seven Kingdoms and The Pit on at the same time. The one thing about this, it sort of seemed that like HBO was trying to line up basically like Night of the Seven Kingdoms and House of the Dragon to have like come out every other year towards the end of the year, which like this I feel like this is then when we heard it was delayed, I thought it was gonna be like super delayed. So we're not getting it before the end of the year, but it's not too far out. And I'm really excited for Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is based on these like shorter novellas, the Duncan Egg series from George R. Martin. He recently said he said, "Oops, sorry, I've been delayed on Winds of Winter, but other things have been occupying my attention," which is like, hey, fair, bro. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I
We
mean,
all
that's
we all
deep.
get distracted.
It's
We all
profound.
we all doom scroll sometimes, bro. But I'm very excited for Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer. I didn't hear, I didn't see the headline, but I'm excited to check it out, and I hope it's good. You know, it's a fun world to be in when it's actually coherent storytelling. So why not? It's, and the original show always did best when it was following the text. So I think this
and
bodes
all the
well
texts
that
are
there's
done.
text to follow.
All
Yeah.
the texts are done. That's the big House of the Dragon, or House of the Dragon thing. Is like all the texts
Right.
are done, so that's good.
Right.
Okay. In terms of what we're watching, new stuff this week. I did check out Monster, the Ed Gein story. I watched the first 3 episodes of that show, and I have to tell you, I don't think the show is good, but I very much like watching it.
Uh-huh.
That's my. I know that I am being tricked by like the like super pulpy, like campy show that Ryan Murphy tends to put out. Like I know that he like
Mhm.
to some degree is like putting out like he's just putting out stuff, you know.
Right.
But I think I like it. So this one has a lot of this is Ed Gein, who's like most prolific for like inspiring a lot of the serial killers of Hollywood. So Psycho and the
God.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What a
And
hero.
what a hero. Quote Ariel on that one. Ed Gein, a hero. But
Clip me.
uh, the show is like, indulging in itself in the way that like American Horror Story does. But then there's
Yeah.
controversy. This is like true story stuff. So like, it's so funny already. Like I look on Reddit and they'll be like, hey, that guy said he didn't do that bad thing. And you're like, but he, I mean,
Yeah.
he did kill a bunch of people. So I don't know that we should like, whatever.
He's not that bad.
Um, So what I do like about this show is that it does do both the thing of like Charlie Hunnam, who I think most people would know from um
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. Yes, that's what I was looking
Mhm.
for. He plays Ed Gein, and Ed Gein is sort of like
Oh.
sort of this prolific serial killer, but a bit of like he's not he probably has some sort of intellectual disability. It seems like he's like
Mhm.
a little bit like he was abused by his mother seemingly. And but it also the same, so it documents like why and how he did all the stuff he did, but then all which is like notoriously like he like kept a lot of body parts in his head and made like lampshades and all this gross weird stuff. And then on the other hand, it's also like
Recycling.
he was recycling, reduce, reuse, recycle, he always said. On the other side, it's also like you have Tom Hollander, who he was in the White Lotus
Mhm.
season 2. He's playing Alfred Hitchcock, and like Alfred Hitchcock being like inspired and
Oh,
making
wow.
Psycho. And so
Oh,
and there's a
God.
guy playing Anthony Perkins, and Anthony Perkins is like this is like Ed Gein is a guy where there's a lot of like sexuality, gender stuff going on, and then you have Anthony Perkins, who is like a closeted man in Hollywood. Like, so
Mhm.
as like a pop culture thing that I don't. It's not a true story, It's not like it
Right.
just, it's like a television show, but I think it's
Right.
kind of fun at the same
Yeah.
time. So,
Yeah, yeah, it feels like an artifact almost, and it's not, like perhaps not 100% accurate, but it feels like it sounds like it's tapping into some version, at least Ryan Murphy's version of reality, and that's always a little bit twisted.
yeah, it's pulpy, So it
Mhm.
is what it is.
It is what it
Um,
is.
I don't think I watched anything else new. I know Abbott Elementary came back. Oh, Saturday Night Live. I did not watch Saturday
Mm.
Night Live with Bad
See.
Bunny. See, but I did watch a bunch of clips online.
Mm.
And I feel like I thought it was funny, and then everyone was like, the show was not funny. This was like this was like the
Oh.
show getting back, like definitely like shaking off the summer cobwebs. They
Mm.
lost, I feel like two of the people that I most look forward to seeing in sketches, which is Heidi Gardner and Egan Rodham. They both left the show.
Yeah.
Bowen Yang did like a sketch as like Dobby the Elf, I think making fun of J.K. Rowling. So I
How
don't,
timely.
I don't mind. I don't mind that at all.
No, all right. The latter part for sure. We appreciate.
So yeah, seemed like the show. Do you don't watch us? You're not an SNL
I
viewer.
watch. I'm like a. I was. I mean, I am.
I
Like in my
know.
heart, I kind of am. It's just this. It's it's the nostalgia. I think everyone, regardless of your age, you have maybe less and less so these days, but like maybe let's say us and older, you have like nostalgia for, you know, what SNL was in your prime when you were a kid, when you were growing up, and there's for sure that emotional connection to it.
What's your SNL crew? Like, what's your, like, that was the best. They were the best.
Man, you know, when you asked, the first person that popped into my head was Taran Killam.
I
Not
loved
that he
Taran
was,
Killam. He
not that
kind
he
of like
was
left
like,
very quickly. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just thought he was, he was one of those that for me, when he was on, it was always funny.
I love the sketch he would do where it was like the movie reviewer, like old timey movie
Mhm,
reviewer, and he
of
would like
course.
next, and he would like he would toss his little cue cards out, but he would make fun of movies, but he was like from like Elizabethan times. I loved it.
Right. But to your question, I do think it's always interesting. I read this quote one time, and I kind of always repeat it, and it's like, of course, I'm going to butcher it, but some version of SNL was always better back then, in quotes, like
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
everyone's like, no, my SNL. And to your question, like which one, you know, which cast combination, which years, which seasons, it's like, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's accurate, and it has something to do with, like I said, the nostalgia component and what you were exposed to when.
Yeah, my crew is like Will Forte, Bill Hader, Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig, Andy Samberg.
Sudeikis,
Like this
yeah.
is like the like early 2010s crew of people that you
Mm-hmm.
got going. Like that was like I was watching every week. I was watching it
Right,
live. I
right.
was like
Mm-hmm.
quoting it to people. Like I just that is like 100%. And I think that those are like the funniest people. Amy Poehler's hosting this weekend. I feel like there's a chance that like a
Oh,
lot of those folks could
right.
turn
They
back
love
up. So
showing up for the old timers.
yeah, so that could be fun. I'm very excited. There's two new cast members who I'm very Jeremy Colhane. He was the first
Mm,
person to appear on the show. I'm a big fan. He is on a lot of Dropout content,
mm,
and so I'm very excited for him to be on the show. And then Verona Solikowski is someone I know from TikTok. She is also Canadian, so I have to be rooting
okay.
for her.
Right.
Um, I'm very excited that they're on the show. I thought there's a new guy, I can't remember his name. He did an SNL, he did a Weekend Updates sketch. They've been doing this thing recently where like they often put out the new people into an SNL like Weekend Update bit just
Mm-hmm.
as themselves, which I feel like is like a like let me introduce you to these.
Yeah, like let's get to know you.
And I thought his was about basically he wanted to say the N-word on the show and he's not allowed to, but he basically like all his stand-up, he's like, I use it all the time. And I thought it was very funny. I thought it was like extremely good. And then like Michael Che is like, they're like, Michael got to say, he's like, man, I'm old. I've been here for
Yeah.
like I'm allowed. You're not allowed. I thought very funny opening sketch. So
That
I
is
from what
funny.
I saw, but I feel like I'm the same as like with late night, where it's like I
Mm.
do like SNL as a thing that happens, but I don't watch it. I watch clips of it on Instagram Reels or
Yeah,
TikTok the next day.
the
So
clipping. Yeah,
yeah,
and to that point, I did see some clips, or at least a clip of Bad Bunny speaking Spanish in during his opening monologue, which I thought was very sweet. You know, thanking his fans, and um, you know, that's a big deal. And you know, obviously, in light of the announcement of the Super Bowl and some of the backlash there, I think it's all hitting.
I I think Bad Bunny is genuinely so funny. I think that
Mm-hmm.
he's the funniest part of Happy Gilmore 2. His Shrek
That
skit
is
that he
funny.
did previously on SNL, where he shows up in full Shrek attire, is so funny. And I thought from
Mm,
what I saw of him on the show, I think he's genuinely hilarious. So good for him
yeah. Yeah, and
hosting
in
SNL.
movies, can't remember the name of something. It's like two words, Dead Plastic, that he was just in with Austin Butler.
Caught stealing.
Caught stealing.
Dead
Dead
plastic.
Plastic. Mine is
Close.
like the Chat GPT version.
I liked Caught Stealing.
Yeah.
That's a Darren Aronofsky movie. I thought it was fun. People should watch it.
I
Watch it
didn't
on
I
streaming.
missed it. Unfortunately.
Bad Bunny's pretty good. Bad Bunny's good
Mhm.
in it.
I
Yeah.
was excited Bad Bunny was in was it Money Train with Brad Pitt? And I'm getting the title wrong, a Bullet Train, I think.
Bullet Train.
And I remember walking out of that being like,
Yeah.
yeah, Bad Bunny was a little like underutilized.
Yeah, that's true.
But
He
whatever.
does show up in a lot of these where he's like plays a bad guy for a bit.
Yeah.
That seems to be
It
his.
sounds like a blast. Why not?
Sure. Okay, I don't think there's anything new that either of us watched, but there is a thing that has been airing that you and I both watch. I'm not watching the new season, but I would love to chat with you about the morning show.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fan favorite of ours.
Uh-huh.
We covered it on the previous iteration of post-show recaps.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I like to call the best bad show on TV, which is that I don't know that the show is particularly good, but I think it's very fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it just has every famous person alive in the show.
And always, and every season, the cast is getting bigger.
And I very quickly, I want to highlight. There's a thing that like I'm not a huge Mark Duplass fan in terms of like I butt up against him when he's acting. Sometimes I do want to acknowledge he is doing a very cool thing, and he's talked about the fact that he basically takes his morning show money and just does cool stuff with it. And recently, he launched a fund to help trans filmmakers create their films, and you have to be like certain low budget thing, like if you're an independent filmmaker, whatever, but you can apply and you can get funding to do film. And that's a thing he's just using his Apple TV money to do. So big shout out to the fact that the morning show is funding all of this random stuff, you know?
Yeah. You know, just add it to the list of why we love the show.
Greta Lee's on the show, check.
Greta Lee, I know. It's it's like it's a really fun bad show, and I think you and I always also talked about like what the show's perspective and view of itself is, and like how it may or may not be tied to actual reality. What the kind of quality product that they're putting out,
which is funny because it's a rip from the headlines show. It's a like here are things that happen in real life that we will then as like a morning news show like tackle, and yet there is a like it all seems not real quality to it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's always the like and this is something that the Newsroom did, which was a very different show, certainly as far as the kind of mood that it was casting. A lot that one was a lot more serious. Morning show makes, where sometimes we're laughing at it when it's funny on purpose, sometimes we're laughing at it when it's funny unintentionally. But I was excited about it. I remember messaging and being like, oh my god, morning show's coming back for the 4th season, I'm excited. And then
Discord had no Yanko GIFs. I wanted to send you a GIF of Yanko, and there's not a single Yanko GIF on Discord.
Nestor Carbonell doing incredible work as Yanko.
How dare you?
And then I watched the first episode. Ooh. And there's like this storyline that's a little bit of a slog for me. It actually took me multiple viewings to get through the first episode. And then I will just read you the Vulture headline, because I was kind of like, is it me? I was so excited for the show, like, and now I'm like not rushing to watch it. The headline is, "The morning show is killing me with this Iran storyline." And yeah, it's a little bit of like, making Jennifer Aniston's character, like keeping her front and center and making her important in like this real world, kind of seeking asylum storyline. And that's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, Grace, I gotta say. But I think it'll be more fun on a binge.
So like, I think I can say that. Well, like this show, there are like they do a lot of things within seasons in terms of like different things that they're doing. It's not always like there's one main thing, but basically season 1 is like Me Too, season 2 is like COVID, season 3 is like tech billionaire
corporate takeover
stuff. So what season, like, does it seem like season 4 has like a theme? So like,
I mean, so just from the one episode, and based on this headline, which that headline was released after at least a couple of other episodes, it seems like that the political asylum storyline seems to be like the biggest beat, the most important beat. But like, I don't know that what will emerge ultimately as the season's kind of overall theme or message or what have you. But I gotta watch our girl Greta Lee. I gotta do my Taran Ares prep since she's
also in Taran Ares. Greta, oh man, people can be excited about. I'm not that excited about Taran Ares. I would like Greta to be making Past Lives too, or whatever. Like not actually, but like whatever version of Past Lives he would like to do next.
Pastor Lives, and not PASTOR, PASTER, Pastor Lives.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch the morning show eventually. I actually think it works better on a binge, so I'm gonna probably save up some episodes and just like run through it.
Right.
But and I also feel like that makes sense that like as it's going along, it's less like, oh, this season is about this thing, just because it's like there's a world where like the show didn't make it out of season, so season one is so like about that specific
Right.
thing and whatever. So
They can evolve.
it can evolve. Yeah. Okay, the morning show. Anything else you're currently watching? Are you keeping up with anything? It was a big episode of Task this week, which I know Amanda talked about
Yeah.
last week. It was a big episode. That episode 5 is probably the best episode of the season. If you're not watching it, I would highly recommend Task. Great, fun week for Task.
Yeah.
Anything else you're keeping up with?
No, there's some new stuff coming. Some of the obvious ones. Survivor, is now well on its run, and Grey's Anatomy, another another show like morning show where it's like this is a really fun show that's bad that I enjoy watching, and covering and getting to talk about. So yeah, that premieres.
If people don't know, you chat about that with Chappelle.
Yeah,
Laughing Feed. You do some check-ins. Season 22. Jeez. You know what? I logged into Netflix the other day. It was like, you want to watch Grey's Anatomy? I was like, the whole street was like, you want to watch Grey's?
That is exactly the way the question was posed. You want to watch Grey's Anatomy?
I was tempted, and then I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't start at season 1 of Grey's Anatomy, but maybe someday, someday, but it wasn't not in the cards this week.
Not that day.
Season 20. What's new on Grey? I mean, there was a thing where what's her name was not going to be on the show anymore. What's she?
Ellen Pompeo. And she went and did that Hulu show that seemingly no one watched. And
wait, is she back?
She was never not on the show fully. She had what she did was she cut down on her like season episode number total. And so now it's down to, or at the time when that hit, it was like 8 episodes, and now it's somewhere in like the 8 to 10 episode range. Like she pops up. She lives it takes place in Seattle. She lives in Boston now, or whatever, somewhere on the East Coast. And so she always has reasons to like need to leave and then come back, blah blah blah. But there was a big cliffhanger at the end of the last season. There was an explosion, so we got to find out who's alive, Grace.
There was people died. It sounds like a terrible place to work. I don't have any new Grey's Anatomy jokes.
I can't. I mean, no, but it's the same joke from season 2. I think season 1 was still a safe place. Season 2 on, it was like, oh no, no one is safe. It's giving Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Okay. The show that I'm probably most excited about that comes out this week, comes out on Sunday, is The Chair Company. This is the new show from Tim Robinson. I am extremely excited about The Chair Company. It's Tim Robinson and Zach Kanan, who is a former SNL writer and co-creator, producer, writer of I Think You Should Leave and Detroiters. The Chair Company tells the story of William Trosper, who begins investigating a vast and elaborate conspiracy after an embarrassing workplace incident. If that doesn't sound like a I Think You Should Leave sketch that is being expanded on a television show, don't know what to tell you. Very excited. This is gonna be an HBO, 8 episodes,
and it seems like it's a full. It's not sketches, right? It's like a fully.
It's not a sketch show. It's a full scripted
narrative.
comedy show. Wow. Yep.
Exciting.
I'm extremely excited. Adam McKay is a producer on the show.
Right. Maybe this will scratch a little bit of like the. It's not quite the same, but a little bit of like the rehearsal itch a little bit, and like the zaniness and like the ridiculousness.
Yeah, Andrew DeYoung, who is also executive producer, is directing at least the first episode. He directed Friendship, so I do think like I think envision Friendship. I think maybe less. Not that Friendship is super serious, but like I would not expect this to be a super serious. I think this is a comedy. This is a comedy. So. We shall see. But Tim Robinson, I mean, I feel like if you don't like Tim Robinson, you're not gonna like the show, and if you do, you're very excited for the show. So I don't need to really sell it, but I love Tim Robinson.
If you know, you know
so much. That comes out this week. I don't know that there's Boots is a show that is coming to Netflix actually today. If you're listening this on the day that this comes out, Boots is about a
A
closeted,
shoemaker.
yeah, close. If you Google Boots, you get search for
You get ads.
you get yeah. Boots is billed as a military comedy drama based on a book called The Pink Marine by Greg Cope White, and it's a secretly gay American teenager joins the American military alongside his straight best friend in the 1990s. So basically, I think even before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a thing. That I wrote a little hub piece on Parade about the show, and then the author of the book was like, "This was cool," and well, okay,
That's
hello,
awesome. Look at
yeah,
you. You got Boots.
I got Boots.
And then they sent you Boots,
Yeah,
probably.
but he said something like, "Oh, it was set before the Don't Ask, Don't Tell." I was like, "Oh, is that a correction on my like? Did I
This
write
was
it wrong?"
great. I have a note.
This stars Miles Heiser, who was in 13 Reasons Why, and then Max Parker, who's in Vampire Academy, I think is the show he's from. So I don't know. This seems like a cute little, military. And cute in the sense that it'll also be a drama in the sense that I'm sure it's exploring his sexuality and his decision to join the military and why he would do that when it's,
yeah,
not
Miles
allowed.
Heiser I know from Parenthood, which is a
Parenthood.
show that I love. So yeah, look at that.
It's in Love, Simon as well. So yeah. Yeah, and Miles it is out, I think, so I like that as well, of casting like an out person, like a gay
Right.
person
Yeah.
as the main character. So Boots comes to Netflix. That's about it, I think, in terms of new things that are coming this week. New movies, Ariel, because you and I are going to talk about movies. I think Anemone, I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is the new Daniel Day-Lewis movie, gets a wide
I know. I'm
release.
like, when I first saw, I'm like, anemone. What is this title?
It might be anemone.
A sea anemone? I don't know.
Might be anemone. Anyway, Daniel Day-Lewis. It's getting like fun. I think everyone's like, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Note about this.
I didn't know he was making another movie until I saw the poster for it.
Well, do you know who directs this movie?
Greta Lee.
Greta Lee. She directs every movie from now on.
Thank God.
No, it's actually the son of Daniel Day-Lewis. So yeah, it is funny. He came out and was like,
Daniel Knight Lewis. I tried.
Nice. No, I like it. It's kind of, he came out and was like, I probably shouldn't have said I retired from acting because I just maybe wanted to take a break. But yeah, I am doing this movie for my son.
We love an unretire.
It's so great. I love an unretire from Daniel Day-Lewis, one of the greatest actors of all time. Yeah.
Please be in any movie. Do you want to be in this I don't know, movie about plastic cups? Yeah, he'll make it great.
Yeah. Okay, and then Roofman comes out this week. This is the new Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst.
You're making
movie.
this up.
No, I'm not making this up. And you know what? I didn't love this movie, but people at the film festival I attended really loved this movie. This is about Channing Tatum plays Jeffrey Manchester, who is a sort of like bank robber. He would rob a lot of McDonald's. He would like go on the roof and sneak down, and then in the morning like rob the workers as they were opening up he would like rob the build, like
they're still sleepy. It's a good time to rob.
He would rob them in the morning, and then
before you make that biscuit.
That's right. And he went to prison, and then he escaped out of prison and he hid in a Toys R Us. So he's the roof man. This movie has some great people. It's Kirsten Dunst, Lakeith Stanfield, Juno Temple, Peter Dinklage. I didn't vibe with it totally, but people really liked it. I think it's sort of one of those like, I can't believe this is a true story. Very much one of those things where you're going to be like Googling, like, did he actually do that thing? So people seem to like it. It's getting good reviews. I think Channing Tatum is pretty good in it. I think Kirsten Dunst is pretty good in it as well. So I think probably I was not thinking this would be like, people seem to like it. So I would say people should go and check it out. Yeah, Roofman.
I'm a sucker for I remember when I was a little kid, I was always, there are movies, storylines, whatever, where like people live in either like a department store or like a toy store or something.
Dream to live in a mall or something. Yeah,
it seems so fun.
I know.
Even though it would probably be really uncomfortable to sleep.
Yes.
In on anything.
Well,
So
I just
yeah,
imagine
I'm
you would do it in
interested.
a mall, so you would, like, sleep in the beds, in the, like, in
Yeah,
that store, and then
Mattress
you would go
Firm.
play
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
toys, and then you would just get everything you needed from all the different you would, like, eat
Right.
at the food court,
Of course, and it's all still open at that time,
and
so
it's all
why not?
yeah, and then yeah, that's right. Okay, that's Roofman, but I feel like the biggest movie coming out is probably Tron Ares, Ariel, which,
Troneries, yeah.
Tron Ares, yeah. I feel like the thing about I've seen this movie marketed a lot. It has a giant budget. I don't think it's
Mhm.
trending towards, and not that the budget really matters. I feel like I didn't really hear much about this movie, but you were excited about Tron Ares.
I am excited about Taran Aries. Shout out, just, is it Gillian Anderson? Gillian Anderson? I always second
Gillian
guess
Anderson, I think.
myself.
Yeah, I think. Oh, I could be wrong about that.
She's an incredible force of nature, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm really excited for her and for Greta Lee. I have said this before. Tron Legacy, I believe, is the previous one that they did.
Yeah,
Um,
15 years ago. Can you believe that?
15 years ago. Incredible.
I
That is
know.
one of my all-time favorite IMAX movie experiences. I
Okay,
went to
that
see it
makes sense.
several times.
Hmm.
The movie, certainly the script was not very good. I remember laughing with my friend out loud. Not like parts that were not supposed to be funny, but it just looked so incredible on the IMAX screen, and the sound. It was Daft Punk did the music for it.
Yes.
It's incredible, honestly.
Directed by Joseph Kosinski, who went on to then go do
Yeah.
like Top Gun
See?
Maverick
So,
and
like,
F1. Like,
spectacle. The spectacle was there, if not
yeah,
the dialogue. And this movie, Tron Ares, is Nine Inch Nails does the music, which is, for me as a moviegoer, I wasn't a huge I'm like, I would say I'm Nine Inch Nails agnostic,
hmm
but like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, what they have done with movie soundtracks and scores in the last, whatever, 10, 15 years, certainly The Social Network, they've won multiple Oscars. And I just love their music so much, their soundtracks, their scores in movies. So I'm
yeah.
genuinely like excited about the possibilities of this movie. I'm not wild about Jared Leto being in the movie, just like personally, Morbius himself. But I hope that the movie's just like entertaining. I'm not expecting a masterpiece, but I hope it's good, and I hope that the music is bumping, Grace.
Why? I feel like sometimes so like didn't Trent Ross and Atticus do the Challengers score?
Yes,
So
they did Challengers. They
so
did Soul, which they actually did with a third person who unfortunately I cannot remember his name. But yeah, I love that they are willing to, I could just talk about them, willing to like take chances, do different things, like certainly Challengers. And they did what was that movie with Gary Oldman, Mank? I believe they did the music for that, which like felt at the time like such a departure from what they had done previously.
mhm.
um so anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's, I hope the music is good, and I hope the plot is decent. At least
Social net,
I haven't heard
yeah.
anything as far as like reviews or anything.
Social Network, Gone Girl, they did
Yeah.
Challengers, Queer, Soul, yeah. Um, I guess I don't understand why some movies they're billed as Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and then this movie they're specifically billed as Nine Inch Nails. But
Yeah, this is, as in my estimation, this is the first time that them two as a unit have like, now they're bringing in, I guess, the other people from Nine Inch Nails, and maybe that's
right,
just like from the kind of music they wanted to make. But I'm hoping selfishly that it still
mm,
feels like them. I mean, he is the leader, as far as the front man of the group, certainly.
yeah.
So I did notice the Nine Inch Nails, but if you know, you know.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna get to Tron. It is Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada, so I don't know if I'm gonna get to Tron areas, but we
Bless.
will. I definitely won't be able to see it in IMAX. So,
So you don't think you'll see it at all, like even in a few weeks? And not this isn't me
uh,
like trying to shame you. I'm just genuinely curious because
I
you
go to the
you see
movies.
most things.
I know I go to the movies so much less than I used, and I have fallen into the habit of being like
Same girl.
recently it'll be like what was a movie that was playing, and I was like, you know what, I'll just Downton Abbey, and I even heard great things about Downton Abbey, and I was like, it's probably gonna hit VOD pretty soon, probably just maybe wait, which is not my mentality normally, but I've been
Yeah.
a little bit like I don't know, I mean, you and I used to go we used to go multiple times. Like sometimes we were doing 2 PSRTs, and so I would go. And as
Mhm.
I've said on this podcast before, I'm a big like if I'm going to the movies once, I might as well go twice. You know, I might
Right.
as well see 2
Might as well
movies.
just stay here. Live at
I
the
might
movie.
as
Forget living in a department store. Live at the
I
movie.
have done it. I have done the 4-a-day movie.
Uh-huh.
Just like spend a whole day
Incredible.
there. But yeah, I just have. I mean, the end of summer. I think I'm already seeing. I feel like the calendar for like the movies that I really love are like
Mm.
about to all be released a fair bit, like the Oscar bait movies. Like
Contenders.
yeah, so I think I will be more frequenting the movie theater, and maybe I'm just in a
Mhm.
little bit of like you know
So
little
they didn't
out.
show Tron Ares at TIFF, it sounds like.
They did, it was actually the only movie they played at TIFF this year, which I thought was a bit egregious, but yeah, like 7 showings a day. Oh my god, every theater. Okay, all right, a movie that didn't play at the festivals that there was a little bit of buzz about before the festivals that came out right after the film festival is One Battle After Another, the new PTA movie, Paul Thomas Anderson. A lot of buzz about this movie. Sort of had a little bit of a critical release. Critics got to see it a bit before couple weeks before it came out, just had enormous buzz, Ariel. And then it came out, and I think like most people was very nervous because everybody was hyping it up as like this is a maybe the best movie of the last at least 5 years, if not longer. And I was very nervous about that. I went to go
Mhm.
see it, and I really loved it. So we're gonna spoil One Battle After Another. So I'm just giving people a little bit of time to scoot out. Make sure
A
you
heads up.
make sure you subscribe to this podcast, tell a friend, Ariel's on Crying Laughing podcast feed, talking Mad Men, all sorts of other stuff, TV takes at the top of all those podcasts. Make sure you pre-order Taran's book. And that's probably enough time for people to have dipped out. So, okay, I'll just set up this. I assume people who are listening either have watched it or don't mind being spoiled. And I heard this on another, I think it was just the big picture. It was like, if you're about to listen to this and you haven't seen the movie, just stop and go watch the movie. Like, just like, don't like, most times, like, who cares? But like this one, like,
Right.
really, really, like, if you're going to sit and listen to everyone I talk about a movie and you like movies enough to do that, you
Mm.
should go see this movie because I think it's incredible and amazing. And even if I don't think Ariel, it's like like I don't even know if it's my favorite movie of this year. I think there's a debate about which movie that could be, but I do think it's like undoubtedly really, really good,
Yeah.
amazing. It's timely. It sort of brought the movie going. I talked about this a little bit that I feel like I think movies are moving into a little bit of like a niche thing. They're like a hobby that people have as
Mm.
opposed to like a thing that everybody in the world does. Like even this movie, made $100 million or whatever, but like isn't going to be $1 billion movie. And yet it does feel like it brought like all people who watch movies, I feel like have been talking about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to
I
me
was on
about
the
yeah.
I was on the train last night, very late, and the one of the only other groups of people on the train were talking about Chase Infinity, who plays Leonardo DiCaprio's daughter in the movie.
Willa.
So it's like my point is that it's like right now, to your point, it feels inescapable. Like anyone who watches movies even semi regularly, or even people who don't watch, but like everyone wants to talk about this movie. And I think certainly all the buzz has made it one of those like annoying social things of like, if you haven't seen it, then you feel like you're missing out. I did see it a second time since
Me too.
I first watched it, and I'm glad I did, because I was a little tiny bit I'm not even going to say disappointed or underwhelmed. I just, like you said, the hype was incredible. Everyone was coming on. It's like, this is the best thing ever made. And it is
Mhm.
so impressive. It has so much heart, which, that's a big thing for me as far as like movies and TV in general, like the
Mhm.
emotional component of the movie and like the emotional reality between characters. And I think the movie does a really good job of setting up what is a pretty complicated story, and like really grounding it in emotional stakes in these characters. It's funny, it's ridiculous, it's harrowing at times, it's scary, it's It's a great time, and I really, 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 really like this movie. And it's not the do I have to like run out and see it again? Like, this isn't the movie that I'm like, oh, I'm going to be watching for like the rest of my life. I'm sure I will revisit it. Certainly, this is the kind of movie I would love to watch, certainly and especially with someone who's never seen it before, like,
Yes.
in private, whatever, at homes. But I think it's amazing, but I don't think it's like my favorite movie ever.
Yeah, I think that for me, my instinct,
Which is such a like dumb distinction to make,
no,
but
that's
you know what
yeah.
I mean.
Well, I feel like we all like. I remember vividly having a conversation with Amanda one time, and I think it was about the show Industry, and it was on Crying
Mm,
Laughing. And I was a big defender of the latest season of the show, and she was like, "Listen, I think the show is really good. Here are the things I don't really think are always working." And then by the end of it, she was like, "It sounds like I hated the show." And it's like, you did start your whole thing by saying like, "Hey, I really like this thing." So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
we all just feel like we're like,
Right. It's like,
tapping
let
on
me
any
condense my take into like one sentence. And if I
yeah,
can't, then like it's
yeah,
vague. Like, it
yeah,
has to be
yeah,
like, is it positive or is it negative? We have
yeah.
no nuance.
Yeah. So the thing I love about this movie is mostly the pacing of this movie and like the
Mhm.
story. I do think it just and one battle after another. This apparently was supposed to be called, the original title's based on the book Vineland, but it was going to be called the Battle of let me just
Fact and Cross.
Back and Cross, which is the name of the town that they live in.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think One Battle After Another is the perfect title because I feel like I said this, I think, in my first Letterbox review. The word I used to describe what was coming out of the movie was relentless, which unfortunately is the thing that the white supremacist has tattooed on his forehead. So it's a bit unfortunate, but that is because I feel like this movie, like, it never settles. Like, there are the probably the closest we ever get is the switch from the sort of prologue into the scene where like Willa is doing karate class.
Hmm.
Like, that's the most I feel like, and then like uh uh Pat goes and like Bob goes to speak with the teacher and whatever. But even that, there's a like he then gets like he starts crying, and that's I
Hmm.
think the most. And I guess the scenes where we're maybe the most settled are scenes with Sensei, like ocean waves.
Yes.
Um,
Waves, Grace.
but this movie just like it starts with the detention center, like that whole sequence, into then like the complicated stuff that's happening with Lockjaw, and then the baby, and the way that is straining like Pat and Perfidia's relationship, and then
Hmm.
the bank robbery, the sort of ratting of the French 75, obviously everything that happens, like, and then we kind of reset with like Willa doing karate, but
Hmm.
it's not that much longer that then we're like, once Lockjaw is trying to join the Christmas Adventurers, we're back into this, like, I know, so ridiculous, but I want to talk about there's so much I want to talk about, but
Yeah.
we just get back into this, like, the movie never settles. Once
Hmm.
Willa leaves for, and even when she's leaving for the party or for the dance, like, he
Hmm.
is like, there's a tenseness obviously to their relationship in that moment, and her, like, him wanting to make sure she's safe. It's something that he's never forgotten, that like they are always in danger.
Hmm.
But I just think like and it's really capitalized on the point when with the road chase scene, that is
Hmm.
like sort of this up and down nature of that thing,
Hmm.
and the swing of it. And so I just think the title is perfect. There's another note, I believe this was Chris Ryan who pointed out, but basically there's only a few moments where the camera's still in the movie, so it
Hmm.
is in the karate scene. um when you're with, unfortunately, like the Christmas Adventurers white supremacist group, the camera is often very still, but for
Hmm.
so much of the rest of the film, the camera is moving because we're not in stasis. We're like,
Right, right, right.
moving with them. And I just think like that entire structure of the movie and the way that those things play into that theme of that stuff, it's just it's really great. And it, like, I feel like it moved, especially movie. The first time I watched it in IMAX,
Mm.
and then the second time I watched it just at my local theater.
A
But
normie.
both times, I know, like a normie, I know, but both times I thought it was like, it's just like it is just really like breathtaking and epic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has so much momentum, and I think it certainly once the like 16 years later component starts and goes, then it's just like off and running. But even in the beginning, I think it's like one thing after another, one sequence, one harrowing, awful, chain of events. And I think I always make this comp like this when movies do this or when shows do this momentum thing, the
Yes.
relentless nature that you were talking about. And I always remember Battlestar Galactica
Mm.
did something in the very first episode. Like they're just the first few episodes, I think it's just like literally they're just running away, and like every like 33 minutes they have to like adjust where they're moving for their safety, and there's just like
Mhm.
this thing. And I thought of The Last Jedi. It's like a whole chase sequence, that
Did you know
movie.
that that's been is not The Last Jedi? It's well, basically Leo has said that this movie most reminds him of a Star Wars movie. Did you
See,
know
I
that?
didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Well, he
That makes
talked
sense because
about
I was like,
like
how am I gonna like make this make sense with space? And
I
Leo
think
did it for me.
well, I think Willa is Luke Skywalker. You
Mhm.
you have all these different that are like yeah,
Right,
there's
right, like
Jedi's
vying
and
for power. Yeah, I can see it. It totally
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
The like the heir apparent of the goodness of the family, whatever.
yeah.
Um, and it's just it really is fun. And on a second viewing, you really do appreciate the structural components more, and like the milestones and the things they do and don't do. Like I had a pretty I had a main note kind of coming out of the first viewing that I think after my second viewing I kind of crossed out, if you will. And I think that the movie is obviously very intentional with what it's doing and the characters. And there's a lot of, certainly with Perfidia's character, it's as much about when she's around as when she's not around, and like what her activation of Pat's character does, and having Willa the child versus like then what her absence causes, and like the vacuum of her not being there, I think is like really, really, really interesting. And frankly, that's probably my favorite part of the movie. I am way,
At
way,
first like 35 minutes.
yeah, and just like Perfidia's story and her motivations, her reality, what she thinks. I think there are ways in which like we don't really fully understand Perfidia, Tiana Taylor's character, who does obviously an incredible job. And frankly, I just wish she were in more of the movie. But I think in actuality, the other characters have to adapt based on her not being there. Like it's that's how important her character is, that like her absence is creating drama. And I just think the yeah, is the beginning like my favorite a little bit. It feels like a little bit more the emotional stakes of it are apparent, but I love this dynamic with Perfidia and everyone. And I think like that her story, basically the women in the movie, right? Like Regina Hall, Deandra's character, who doesn't have, unfortunately, I love Regina Hall. No, not unfortunately. I love Regina Hall.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, she's not in the movie as much as I would like her to be. But her scenes are incredible. And then, Chase Infinity, who I forgot had been in
Yeah, she's in Presumed
Presumed
Innocent.
Innocent,
This is
but
her
this
first
is her
movie, but
first
she's been in
movie.
TV. Yeah.
Um, Incredible. I felt bad after the fact, because when we briefly non-spoiler talked about this movie here last week, I said that like most of her scenes were up against either Sean Penn or Leonardo DiCaprio, and then in retrospect I was like, damn, that's like, is that like a little bit of a spoiler? Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Um, but that's not easy. That is not easy to do, and she is one of the best parts of this movie. I just think that her journey, her reality, like as a teenager, dealing with so many complicated things and ideas and trying to just be like a kid in the world, but then also dealing with this insane situation that she did not ask for, that she has no control over, is really compelling.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's it got sort of leaked or reported that they're gonna run her in lead, which I think is the absolute right choice.
Mm,
I kind of hate category fraud stuff. I think she's
right.
absolutely like I think like this is actually one of the first movies that I think like it's actually really clear where everyone. The only one is like Sean Penn is probably also a lead in this. Like Sean Penn,
Mm,
Leo, and Chase Infinity are probably
yeah,
all the leads of this
right.
movie, and they just don't do that. They don't run more than one lead because it hurts the chances, which is fine. that's annoying thing about the system. But I do
Right.
think she is so incredible in this movie. And I was going to sort of save this maybe for a little bit, but there is a critique of the movie. I feel like this has been sort of most sort of voiced by some online writers, but also Van Lathan. I feel like this is where I've seen the traction online
Mm-hmm.
happen. There is one predominant thing that he is voicing, which I do agree with, and I do understand the sentiment, which is his thing of like, it's only it's only white directors who get this amount of money to make a movie that is not then supposed to make money, where people don't care that it didn't make money. So his example is like
Yeah.
Coogler, who has made studios tons of money. There was all this stuff when Sinners came out. I was like, oh my god, it's such a bad thing that he got like he like owns the rights to the movie and it's not even gonna make that much. That movie ultimately did end up making a bunch of money, but that also kind of serves Dan's point, I think, that like people care a lot about non-white filmmakers who and how much money they make. And there is a cultural thing about this movie in particular where like people are kind of concerned, I guess, that it does. I think people are more concerned because if this movie doesn't make money, it's maybe less likely that they would like give money to somebody else to make a movie like this. But I think Van's point is that like it is mostly white directors who get to make their like artistic, they're like their vision, their big epic movie.
Right.
I think that that's fair.
With less strings attached. Yeah, I mean that totally makes sense to me.
The other critique he has of this movie is about Perfidia and her representing a black revolutionary woman, and that she is some people I guess would say evil or bad or a villain or antagonist of this movie. I am not black, so I will not speak to that representation. I think that there's a world, and I think it's totally fair that Van and there are other writers out there. There are other like black writers who are writing about this as well. I do think that I think it's fair to think about this movie as being mostly Paul Thomas Anderson, to some degree. Like this is Leo and his daughter. Paul Thomas Anderson does have mixed race children, so like I think this is a like father-daughter movie, I think, more so than it is a movie about Perfidia and her role, and even Regina Hall. Although some would argue, I think there's an argument to be made that like actually what some people want Perfidia to be is actually what Deandra is, like who she is. She is, and actually the woman who's the head nun at the Sister of the Brave Beaver, whatever. Like there are examples of black women in this movie who are the type of revolutionary who are more. But I think Van's point is to a little bit of like, she is so front and central, and she is the one affecting so much stuff that actually it's like there's a negativity to that, and so I understand all that and still think the movie works for me, and I acknowledge that I'm not coming from the same place that black people are coming from in terms of this movie, and also think like I think that there are ways in which this movie does have some nuance, and also want to keep that upfront. All that to say, I do agree that I think Perfidia Beverly Hills it's an electric performance, and actually a line when I was rewatching it where Pat is the like he's the explosives guy, and he is sitting and he's making a bomb that they're going to use, and he talks about that you have to remove all the electricity from you have to like remove the stat or something like that.
The static electricity. You
have to to make sure and I was like, oh, that's also a theme of this movie, of like she creates so much static energy that like things explode. I think I guess the one thing I will say is that like to some degree I do agree that like Perfidia makes bad decisions and decisions I don't agree with. On the other hand, I think she is such a victim of power in America and like the structures that are set up to enable specifically white men. The Christmas Adventurers, but also Lockjaw. Lockjaw is like he's from the military. He holds power over her. She can like I guess she could have chosen not to rap, but I find her position to rat on them to be extremely like defendable in the sense that like she's a victim of power and racism and all of this stuff in American culture. So I like really empathize, I guess, with like the decisions you make, even if they're like these abhorrent decisions to rat,
Mhm.
that Alana Haim in a terrible wig is going to get killed. Gonna
People,
get killed,
it really is so bad, the wig. But obviously she's on the run and she probably had to shop at the Halloween store. She didn't have time to buy a fancy wig. Yeah, I mean, I think for sure my first time watching the movie, that was, like I said, one of my biggest notes was like the perfidia thing, the like not certain like Black women characters not being as front and center, but obviously thankfully Chase Infinity being her daughter is like a big part of her, and she's obviously like picking up her mantle. But I like, this movie starts and it's Perfidia walking. Like, she is, the very first shot is just her walking on this bridge and kind of like looking over the detention center. But like, if you want to extend the metaphor, kind of like looking over, she always acts like and thinks of herself as kind of like above it all. Like, she says, no one could do the revolution like I can do, like the idea that she is the one. And then the first interaction we get between her and Pat, he's literally like, I'm a little unclear as to what the plan is. I need direction. And that is like their relationship writ large. Like, she is the one in control. Certainly on the like the revolutionary front, she's the more extreme one, the one that's always like going. But like, this is their relationship, like I said. And he's already giving shades of what he will be in like 16, 17, whatever years in the future, where he's just like a burnout and he doesn't remember the passwords, and he's just like, without her, he's lost, right? And his lot in life then becomes to protect his daughter. But I just love the idea that like watching her move in the beginning, like she is in motion and she kind of never stops moving, to the point that we made of like, the movie doesn't stop moving and there's a lot of propulsive nature to it. She is not someone who's going to stop moving even after she has a child and decide that it's not enough. Like, that's not enough for me to stay behind. I need to go, do more revolution stuff. And this child is only gonna slow me down. I think it's such an incredible thing. And then to have the like button at the end be, not to skip ahead, but just like the parenthetical part of it be her letter, and like someone admitting that she like made mistakes, her letter to her daughter. And like, I think it's so, it really is, to me, like her story. And she is the thing that the movie hinges on in so many ways. And the character, like I said, like, her absence is what causes so much drama. And like, poor Charlene, aka Willa, who didn't know her mother, and how that affects, even putting the revolution part aside and all the ridiculousness that comes with, and danger, to someone who didn't know, a teenager who didn't know her mom and doesn't know her mom, and feels like she's missing that part of herself. It's just, I'm talking about it and I'm just experiencing so many emotions again from watching the movie.
Yeah, one of the other pieces too is I think the score in this movie is just incredible. This sort of like tonal thing that's happening in the movie, and there's a video that's going around social media where essentially it's the same key that gets played throughout the whole movie, and then it's the stuff that's happening around it that actually is like what's like when it's is it moving faster, or there are strings or whatever that's happening. And that is also reflective of the theme of the movie, which is one battle after another isn't just all of the things that are happening to them in the movie, that like they take these people, like they take the people they let the people free from the migration center, and then Lockjaw like is going after, like, there is like all of the things that are happening, but it's also about the battles that people face up against the systems that are up against them, and how each generation is fighting the same battle but is fighting it in a different way. And so how Pat and Perfidia are like fighting that system is through violence. I thought it was really, in my head, I was like, when I thought about this movie after I watched it the first time, it was that they were violent. And then I was going back and I was like, the first whole scene, it like is violent, but it's not like violent, but like they don't shoot anybody, they don't blow anything, they like shoot off fireworks, stuff like, but then obviously then they do like blow up a bank in a senator's office and whatever. So they do participate in violence.
Perfidia kills the guy at the bank, unfortunately.
So that one, although I will argue, there is like, I also think there's a moment in the movie where like she does that after the baby is born, and
Mhm.
Pat's not involved in that one either. And I was wondering whether there was like a distinction between like when do things become more violent and whether the movie is telling
Yeah,
something about that.
she takes it too far in that moment, and I mean, in some ways, she causes. I guess like they were already gonna catch them anyway, even if she hadn't shot the guy, because they were hip to the. They very quickly got hip to the bank robbery, but it
Yeah,
just
but it's
feels like it's an escalation
yeah,
of this violence because you see all the other members of the group react like, oh
yes,
god, like that's not
yes,
part of the plan. Like we
yes.
weren't just supposed to kill this security guard.
Um, okay, so the point I talk about in terms of like this being like this the same battle that people are facing, but and I think that's both in the beginning and it's I think in the middle, but the endings as well in terms of like that she's gonna go drive 3 hours to Oakland or whatever and go and do, and
Mm,
he's like, okay, be safe, like he's staying home, he's not part of that next
right.
thing, and so
He's smoking his joint like he is for like a somewhat large percentage of the movie.
one of the best vaping performances I've ever seen in a movie. I have to tell you, I feel like
Yes, he made like made vaping at least visually interesting.
yeah. So although like I feel like you talk about this being like Perfidia's movie. I really think this is Willa's movie. Like I think like this movie, I mean I get like Willa and Bob to some extent, but I think even
Mhm,
more so Willa. And there's a world where she is definitely I think again to maybe some of the criticism I've read is she is a lead. He is the a protagonist who things are happening to her and she's reacting to them, which is
mhm,
definitely true. And yet I do think like in sort of some, it's not coming of age, but like in terms of like how all of this stuff happens shapes her. Because I think when we first meet her, it's like she's taking care of Bob, basically. She's like,
mhm.
making sure that he's not driving home drunk, which he says he knows how to do, which is there's a
I'm a
letterbox review that says
pro. I'm a pro, Grace.
there's a letterbox review that says maybe the most pro drinking and driving movie of all time, which you definitely could argue. Um, but I think that like the journey that Willa goes on in this movie, and she's the one who like stops and shoots the Christmas adventurer guy. Like
Mhm,
I think that she is the sort of driving force behind this in this movie, and is so
mhm,
much about her. And yes, she is, but I really do see the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes being a prologue. And once the first shot we see, once I feel like we're in the like, you know, central meat of the movie
right,
is
the
Willa in
now.
karate. Is Willa's like she's standing in her karate outfit. That thing, especially in the first watch, I got like chills when that scene comes on, and then
Mhm,
Dirty Work by Steely Dan. I love that scene. That
mhm,
might be my favorite sequence of the movie, just because I think it's like there's something to that of like, yeah, now this is now her story, and the way she is shaped by the people that her mom,
mhm.
who is absent, but obviously then is it, but like
Loom so
there's
large.
yeah, and we'll find out like she's Lockjaw's like biological kid. Um,
Oof.
like that scene is incredible. That whole confrontation between
Mhm,
the two. There's so many scenes in this movie that I could just like keep talking about. We've talked about the road scene, um, but this scene where she's tied up and she comes in and they do the DNA test, like all of that is so harrowing. And like
mhm.
the way he calls her a mutt is maybe I think like the thing that I think like it should be on the reel for him being
So
nominated because he's
disgusting.
so disgusting and evil.
Yeah,
It's her like not holding back in any of those moments of
mhm,
like
yeah.
um
Yeah, and to
yeah.
the point, a little bit to the point of her, that first shot of her that you mentioned in, like standing and learning how to defend herself and like basically standing in her power, right? And like learning about her own power. She is a person who doesn't back down. Like I love
And
the
who has to do the dirty work? Who has to do it because of all the mistakes of everybody else?
I'm a fool.
It's Willie. It's Willa. She's a she has to. She has to do all the dirty work.
Yeah, and I love the way that she doesn't back down from Sean Penn's character, even as it's an incredible the shot of her face as Sean Penn. I think there's a moment like right after he finds out, the DNA test comes out positive, so to speak, and the match, and he kind of walks away, and she's just looking down and assessing everything that has happened in the last 24 hours or whatever, and I couldn't help but think about like, and in a part of this is something that we can all relate to, of like our parents and what our parents taught us about the world, the way that we saw the world when we were younger versus the way that we started to see the world for ourselves when we were teenagers, and we start to go out and see it and explore it fully. And the limitations, the ways we think about our parents are flawed or limited or paranoid or whatever. And feeling like better, feeling like I have an understanding of the world that my parent actually doesn't. But seeing the magnitude of all she has learned, and this man who she's never met, her mom who she's never met. I mean, she has no memory of, I should say.
It's clear that Bob talks about the mom.
For sure. And
because when she's
he
like
tells her
talking
the
with,
lie that she died.
yeah, and then there's also the whole thing with Deanna where it gets revealed that her mom was a rat, but like she clearly like either like no, she didn't know, right? She doesn't know. She never knew
No,
that.
she
So
didn't
like,
know, and
yeah,
Deandra's like, I didn't have the heart to tell her. I didn't have the heart to tell her that her mom. I told her her mom was a hero, which
yeah.
isn't true, isn't not true, but it's just not the full extent of it. And I, ultimately I agree with you that it is. I think I will slightly amend that, like, it's Perfidia's. It is a movie about like Perfidia's choices and family and what she does, but it is, I would agree, it is mostly like, and again, the part I'm most interested in the movie, like, no offense to Leonardo DiCaprio, but like I've seen him do enough, and like watching Chase Infinity have to like move through the world, adapt so quickly at such a young age to this information, and kind of seem to have like a knack for it. I love the scene where the head nun is like, you have, like, I see your mother in you, right? And that's a problem
You
because
don't
a
look like her
rat
on the outside. You look like her on the
on
inside.
the
Is what she
inside, and
says,
that's like
right?
powerful. That's more powerful because that means that you have some of her character, and perhaps you have some of her flaws. And as she says, that makes you a baby rat, like a daughter of a rat. That makes you a baby rat. So there
I
is
think it
like,
said she's willing to do anything to survive, which is like,
yes, which is very like way more perfidia coded than Pat coded. I mean, I guess ultimately we find out Pat isn't actually her biological father, but she is. I love the idea that whether she realizes it or not, she is fully embodying her mom. And perhaps, and another thing that I love about this is like, as we get older, what we choose, not, I don't mean a teenager, like as we grow into actual adulthood and our brains fully develop, we start to understand the nuance of our parents are just, for the most part, with horrible monstrous exceptions, doing their best. And they knew about as much as we know now, but then having an appreciation for what their parents did do and did know and did instill in them and was able to pass. And like, I I love this. I love the way that like Willa Charlene, for the most part, doesn't call. She calls him Pat or Bob rather, for
Bob.
like most of the
Mm-hmm.
movie,
Yeah.
his real name, and then it isn't until the very end that she calls him Dad.
Yeah.
And like she chooses, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but we have no reason to believe that she ever told Bob that she found out that Lockjaw was her biological father. I
I
think there's like a discussion there, or at least a case to be made in either direction. But my theory is that she didn't tell him as like an act of love, as like, I don't want to, because whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is how she feels. But the idea that she accepts him fully as her father and calls him dad and respects him so much more now that she was brought into like the reality of her world and her history.
think my like headcanon is that that he at least has some notion that could
That
be
it could be true.
true,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he doesn't really ever need to know
Right,
for
for sure.
sure or not, because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. He will be her father. He's always been her
Yeah.
father, and that for her, like, she gets a confirmation because like he sucks and but like it doesn't. Yeah, we never know whether he knows or not. And I would agree that it doesn't really matter. And it's really nice to think, yeah, like when she starts to call him dead. This movie, the Leo thing for me is that I think he's like, I think he is really good. I think the scene where he's on the phone with Comrade Josh is so funny. I think he's very funny. The scene where he falls out of off the roof, I think is one of the funniest things I've seen this year in any movie. When the kids call Sensei and they're like, "What happened?" He's like, "He jumped off the roof and fell 40 feet into a tree." It's so funny.
He fell, Sensei.
I love it. I think he's very funny. I think Sensei is very funny. I want to talk a little bit about Sensei in a little
Yes.
bit, but the other group that I think is like extremely funny, and it's also the most harrowing part of the movie, and it's like so ridiculous, but also like 2025 feels ridiculous, is the Christmas Adventurers. I love Jim Downey. I interviewed Tony Goldwyn earlier this year.
Yeah, you mentioned this. I remember
I,
before you had seen his role in
I
this movie.
saw him in Hacks, and he talked a little bit. He's like, "Oh, I try not to judge my characters," but it was very funny to watch. One battle for another with that in mind.
Retrospect.
Both scenes of the Christmas, I think, are both like stunningly. They're really like visually, they're really. I could quibble a little bit with Lockjaw returning at the end and needing like another moment where like they where he dies at the hands of them. I guess part of, if I had to like give the most credence to the movie, it's a little bit like people really can't stop sucking up to power. Like even after he's been shot, like I guess he doesn't ever know that it was them, but even after he's like been through hell through some random white guy on the road, he's still willing to like go and try to like join the Christmas. So like there's
He's
some
completely deformed.
like it does feel a little America in terms of like the way that like there are certain Republican figures who like, it's wild to me that you still choose to like bow down to Donald Trump when like the amount of stuff he's like Ted Cruz and Margaret, like all these people, like, so to me there's maybe something to that in terms of like even after that you're still gonna bow down, like you're still gonna try to join, like that's maybe the point. I thought a little bit of the Terminator sequence is a little like, it's probably the most I was like, oh, I don't like, couldn't he have just died in the car? But
and I will say very briefly, I don't want to forget to say this. My favorite shot, I think, is I call them the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the teenage kids on skateboards, and the way they're flipping. Like there's a shot of like them literally in the shadows. Shout out to Perfidia, who in her letter to her daughter is like greetings from the other side of the shadows. The kids literally flipping. I was like, oh my god, they're the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're teenagers who are doing awesome shit and like having fun, but they're also doing good. And I just love that. And that comes right before the hilarious, falling off the roof of Leonardo DiCaprio character.
Yeah.
But to the Lockjaw, Sean Penn's character point, love the idea of him becoming more and more monstrous, like the inside coming out. Like by the end, he has he was shotgunned to the face from the enforcer from the Christmas Miracle
Adventurers Club.
Thank you. But I was like, you don't check the car. You don't go down to see if he's dead. These people sent you. These people who clearly have so much power and you should live in fear of, who hired you. You don't make sure that you cover that. That seems like a little sloppy. Maybe he just assumed between the shot and the car crash that he did die, but that's like a little crazy. I do like the idea. I see your point about like, why did we need another beat of him? But I did like the idea of the way that Lockjaw so easily literally erases people and massacres people for his own selfish, like especially on a second watch. I appreciated so much how much of what happens in Backton Cross is just because he's trying to weed out Willa, his biological daughter, and get rid of her. And the harrowing, awful thing of like, find me a reason to
that feels very 2025 as well. Like, we got to go to Portland,
it's there's
like, really?
drugs there's heroin, whatever. Like that sounds like a lot of like the same talking points that we're getting in real life.
And the scene where they're like, also the chicken fingers, whatever place, they need their employees back. So we actually got to like, and that's so for us too. Yeah.
But the way that he is I love the way that he is so I don't know. It's like it's so clinically erased. Like he's in the office, they gas him, and then he's put into the fire. Like his existence is completely erased, and he is he is not at all an important figure in history or to this group of people that went through all this trouble to kind of clean up the mess just because they're like offended that he lied and like didn't like he's not going to make a fool out of us.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, so if Jason Finney, who I think should be the front runner for lead actress, I guess I haven't looked at that, but I think like from this movie, I do think lead supporting. As much as I think Lockjaw, I think the Sean Penn performance is very good, and it's like is unquestionably like extremely good, and he's
Why
like
is
a
your
menace.
shirt so tight, Grace?
You're not playing. I'm not gay if that's what you're saying. I think the sensei is like I go back and forth, I guess, on whether or not it's like between him and Sean Penn, but I think that performance is so good. And maybe I'm partially giving credit to the story, which is that I think in a movie that is about revolution and fighting back, I think Sensei has he has the most aspirational form of revolution, which is he is actively helping so many people in his community. He when with a scene from when Bob is trying to discharge his phone and they go all the way back to his house and all the way through where like Bob has to meet all of the people. That Sensei is actually like actively making sure that they're okay is like to me astounding, and the piece of like community that is the most like form of revolution that I most want to be like. There's to some degree at the end, like when she's going to go, but we don't really know what that's going to look like. Like I think that this movie is certainly saying like there are certainly, I think this movie is endorsing violent revolution, but it's at the very least saying there are likely tremendous and huge consequences to performing that type of revolutionary action, as opposed to like I think that like in my head like what like Will is going to do is much more like what I would say is like traditional like activism, like being part of a protest, being there, being on the ground, doing like actual work that we don't necessarily know, and I presume it's not like violent in the way that like Bob and Perfidia were violent in the prologue, but Sensei's version of revolution and change is so like palpable and enormous and so like and spread so wide. And I just love him, and that's like on top of like he's very funny. He gets like two of the best. There's like a few. There's like him responding to what time is it to Bob on the phone.
8:15.
8:15. Him in the car driving when he first picks up, they take a selfie. And
take
then
a selfie is crazy in that situation.
And then a few small beers and the like dancing to like basically get a DOI so that Bob can continue to like get away further is all just like incredible stuff. Which is I guess mostly story, but the performance is certainly there. It's really great.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite Benicio del Toro performances ever. It's so grounded in love and like in protection, and he has his arms around this entire community. Like there's another version of this character that's become more of like a godfather figure, and like he's pulling favors and he's like using it for whatever, for selfish reasons. And this is just a man who's trying to protect as many people as possible and running a literal underground railroad style operation of like keeping these migrants safe. And yes, that scene of like his family, like if you think about it, like the bravery of actually just like daring to live a quote unquote normal life and like have a home set up and not just be like on the run all the time because of what they're doing. And obviously an impeccable planner. He is, like you said, he's not losing his cool at all. These people are literally coming to the store. That scene that you said, he's like, get off the phone. And he's talking to like the kid, maybe it's the son, whatever, the young kid. But Bob thinks that he's talking to him. He's like, I'm trying to charge me.
And the movie is so funny. Like, there's so many.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There was such a level. This is my favorite like male character in the whole movie. There is just a warmth and a power that he has by like finding his own power in the stillness, right? And like he's like the ocean waves that you mentioned, and it's like you kind of gotta let the stuff wash over you. You can't be moving along with the waves, so to speak. He's a hero. He's a hero, and he's great. He's funny. He's never. I could never, Grace. I could never be this calm under that kind of pressure. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
so good.
I loved all the Spanish, like all
Not
the little
subtitled.
moments,
I
not
love it.
subtitles, the
Mhm.
kids, this there's a scene of earlier in the movie where like the migrant children in literal cages um playing with rolled up balls, which are like the aluminum blankets that they are given to cover themselves. Just kids being kids, and it's simultaneously awful, harrowing to look at and to see, but also just kids are gonna find a way to be kids no matter what situation they're in. And there's so many of those like humanizing moments of these people either on the run or people like in his family who are helping. The way they organize, they're saying in Spanish like, we gotta go, but like, God is with us, and like we're gonna be okay. We have to move
Mm.
fast. We have a plan, don't worry. Like, it's just so, I don't know, there's something so wholesome, and to your point, aspirational, frankly, about some of what they're doing.
Yeah. Um, okay, I feel like I'm bigger on this than you are, but, do you think this movie has a chance to win Best Picture? I think that it is. So there's an app that I really like called Award Expert. Folks haven't heard of it. It's basically like you
Mm,
can make predictions. You can see what other people who are making predictions currently think. One Battle After Another currently from this site from about 5,000 people has a 98% chance to be nominated and a
mm,
77% chance to win is
mm-hmm.
currently the odds. Um, as opposed to, I think the next movie that has the best odds might be looks like Sinners. Maybe is the next odds on favorite. But do you have a what are your sense at this moment in time?
I hadn't considered it until now, but I think absolutely it has a chance. Probably, I mean, it's a lock, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. In terms of the nomination, certainly, I would say that because of some of the real world issues, that this might be, more on the forefront, more on people's minds when it comes time to vote. I mean, we'll see we'll see what the reality is
Yeah,
in a few months when voting actually happens. But I think there is, how can I say this not sound lame? There is like perhaps a feeling of this is a small act of revolution of like voting for this movie, and kind of uh amplifying some of its message by voting for it and giving it the award. I think for sure it has a chance. I would be shocked if it didn't get nominated. I think it has a good chance of winning.
yeah. I think it'll absolutely be nominated, and then whether or not it wins, I think it's probably the front runner. I think Sinner. I don't see Sinners as winning. I think it will get nominated.
Mhm.
Hamnet and Sentimental Value, which both have not had their theatrical releases, are kind of the next two, and then Marty Supreme, which had its first viewing at the New York Film Festival earlier this week. It was a surprise showing. Apparently, Josh Safdie finished the movie at 2 in the morning, and they showed it the next that night.
Wow.
Those are kind of the front runners, but I think nothing is even close to One Battle After Another at the moment. And I think the big difference too is like Oppenheimer kind of like debuted, and I don't think it immediately had like, oh, this is going to win Best Picture, but it felt like it could, and throughout the fall, it like sort of like that never went away, and then it won. This
Mm,
to me is like coming out, September, and
mm,
feels like it's like really well primed to not suffer from like the backlash to it being the front runner as much as
mm.
a movie. So it does feel like One Battle After Another is the far and away front runner to win Best Picture at this moment. So we'll see.
Yeah. We will see. We will only see.
We'll see. Okay. I think that's it for this. We went obviously a little long, but we're full spoiler on the movie. Ariel, thanks so much for coming on. Again, TBD whether Taran will be back next week, or if he. Oh, I think next week. At the very least, if Taran's not back, there will be also, like, regardless, there will be a special guest to chat about Alien Earth in some spoilery detail. I'll
Ooh.
leave that guest
It's all about
TBD.
space, Grace. Everything comes back to
All
space.
about space.
Poor
Um,
Amanda.
Ariel, where else? Where else can people find you?
Oh my gosh. Thank you again. This was so much fun. I'm going as soon as we're done recording, I'm gonna go to Oakland and help Willa.
Wow.
Hook up with her. Non-romantically. It's like, wait, out of context, it
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
Uh-huh.
I'm on Crying Laughing, like you said. We're doing a Mad Men rewatch, Amanda and I. I do some movie takes sometimes because I watch these days. I'm closer to watching the amount of movies that Amanda watches historically, but
Yes.
I'm usually watching more movies. And we also cover, we talk about what TV we're watching and just general nonsense. And of course, you are covering this century in cinema, the
Yep.
100 best movies of the century based on New York Times lists every
Amanda
week,
was
which is
just on
super
for
fun.
Francis Ha, and you'll be
Francis,
joining.
ha ha ha.
I believe you'll be joining for Interstellar. So
Is that next week?
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe I get to get back to go to space so soon.
I know it's all
incredible.
about space. It's all about space.
So yeah, that's where I am. Look for that. And yeah, I probably, let's go see Tron, Grace.
Okay. You get the seats. I'll meet you there. I'm on social media at Hi from Grace, writing for Parade and Pop Heist, and I have a Substack, and everything else I'm doing, you can find me online. We'll be back next week with more Tastemakers. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Until then, bye-bye.